I don't even know if it's like there are pretty much every day. I don't have the drive. I don't have the motivation. But what I do have is the commitment, the ritual, the discipline. I do it every day. I never let complacency get in the way. I don't let my brain talk me out of stuff. I just keep moving. And my life, I can't even tell you how unbelievable. I got to pinch myself. My life is so damn unbelievable, even when it's hard.
No whining.
No quitting.
Overcome.
Community. Teamwork.
Tough Mudder.
Tougher together.
No excuses.
Hey, to all my Mudder family, OCR brothers and sisters, and to you listening right now. You are my people too. We do share a world, and I am your mirror man and host of Tough Mudder's No Excuses podcast, Sean Corvell. Deep inside each human being is a spirit that hungers for movement and growth. The phrase, I can't, doesn't mean anything to me anymore, not because of my ego, but because I know anything is possible. These are the words of Joe De Sena. He is the founder of Spartan Race, the owner of Tough Mudder, a best-selling author, has a podcast, a series on CNBC, etc., and so much more. Google the man's name and you can spend hours learning about him and his life accomplishments. In this episode of No Excuses, I have the honor of conversing with Joe De Sena. The man has an incredible drive to live life to the fullest. He's a winner. If he had a football team, they would be Super Bowl champs. If he had a basketball team, they would have an NBA title. He could probably coach a team to win the World Cup. He's found a formula to achieve success in life, and he wants everyone to optimize their abilities to be their best. Not their settled best, their honest best. In our conversation, we talk about his relentless drive, the formula that works for him in his achievements and challenges, his philosophy, and his quotes. We talk about his vision for Tough Mudder and goals for 2023. And we talk about his trip to Ukraine. It's an excellent motivational episode that takes us all into the new year with confidence and optimism. Here's my conversation with Joe De Sena on No Excuses. All right, here we are. Joe De Sena. Now I'm looking on the screen and it says Joseph De Sena. Who calls you Joseph?
There was only one person that called me Joseph in my life, and it was my mother. So there is definitely a little tingle on my neck when I get called Joseph.
Thanks for doing this. I don't think I've ever had the chance to actually sit and talk with you, or like have like a meeting with you. I've seen you at some of the Tough Mudder events, and seen you there with your daughter one time, who was like putting a lot of our our top athletes to shame herself. Yeah, it was always an honor seeing you there. Now, let me say this right up front.
I was going to say the honor is all mine. I never thought anybody in the Tough Mudder audience would ever want to talk to me.
I think a lot of them want to talk to you. You know, what about? I don't know, not sure, but they would love the opportunity to talk to you. So I drove in I live in Utah. I drove into the Bay Area, or Sacramento here last night. So we got in, me and my wife, we got in like around 1 a.m. And so I went back online again. I was looking at your stuff. So I'm talking to anybody that's watching this right now. Go online, just put in Joe De Sena, and man, you've got like the whole internet to yourself, you know, great interviews. In fact, prop to Rich Roll podcast. I love that interview that you did with him. I'm like, if somebody's going to write a book about your life or do a movie on your life, they got to see that one. That was an awesome one.
You like that? You like that one?
Oh, yeah, dude. You were saying, I like the interviews that go beyond I mean, because it's easy. I can come on here. So, Mr. De Sena, you founded Spartan, and you know what I'm saying? People, that's out there already. You know, I wanted to talk, especially with that, because I watched that like I watched Yellowstone. I binged it, man. I should have went to bed, but I was up all night because I was intrigued. I'm addicted to people being their best. you cover that.
Thank you, sir.
Well done on that, by the way. Yes. So before I go there, because I got like a lot of stuff to talk about with that one, let's get some other things out of the way real quick. Founder of Spartan, best-selling author, now owns Tough Mudder, got the TV show, you Nonstop with the things that you've accomplished. What I want to talk to you about, I was talking to this gentleman when I was flying out to World Toughest Mudder, and he was talking about they're putting together this global body that is going to govern the ultra adventure OCR world. I don't know if I'm sure you've heard of it, because to me, that cannot be done. You're one of the prominent names if they're doing something like that. So, what is your take on that? How do you feel about that?
World OCR? Is that what we're talking about?
Is that what they're calling it? It's like, because I thought it was like going to be something so that like if they do it in other countries, it'll be regulated or it'll be combined, or they can have teams from representing each country, and that there's some kind of rules to it, an organization to it right now. That's what I thought he was talking about.
I'm pretty sure we're talking about World OCR. So if we are, where that came from, unfortunately, that came from me. Years ago, I started the narrative of, hey, we're going to get this thing in the Olympics. The sport is amazing. This should be in the Olympics. It's got tremendous presence, viewership. I mean, rhythmic gymnastics. Think about some of the sports in the Olympics. They can't be nearly as exciting as what we got going on here. And I later found out to be an Olympic sport, you've got to have governing bodies, right? I was making the statements and I was getting press before I really understood what it would take to be in the Olympics. So I reached out to a buddy of mine who I used to race all over the world with, a guy named Ian Adamson. And I said, Ian, look, I have no time to deal with this. Could you figure this all out? And so he rolled up his sleeves and he's been working on it for 5-6 years. He's been working with David Watson on our team. And I believe that's what you're referring to. Look, we're going to be in the 2028 Olympics in LA. And it's all because of that effort. So, just like any sport, when it grows up and it becomes more mature, you've got to have some rules and regs in place. I'm flattered that you thought of me as just a rogue individual that just does whatever the hell he wants. And, but at some point you gotta tame the horses.
Yeah. So when you say that they've already decided to have this in the Olympics, what is that going to look like? Is it going to be a course? Is it going to be, like when you guys are just running 100 miles? Is it an ultra? Is it an OCR?
It's a short distance. So, anybody listening or watching, if you know pentathlon, it's got 5 different disciplines within it. The equestrian section is being removed for LA and obstacles being put in. It'll be a short course. It's not going to be exactly what we're all used to, but it'll definitely, it'll be our day in the sunlight. Like we will have arrived. So super excited there. We could do another podcast. I can get the team on that's organized and all that. And, I got to pinch myself if, 2028, at the Olympics with my family and we're seeing obstacle racing in the Olympics is, pretty incredible.
Yeah, that's hella cool, man. And that you're involved with that too. That's, again, well done again. You continue to do this stuff. You now own World Toughest Mudder. Layman side of it, before I knew who you were, what Spartan was all about, you weren't buddies with Will Dean. So why would you take over World Toughest Mudder, or save it even, is how I see it in a sense.
Yeah, Will and I were definitely arch enemies. That's a terrible thing to say. We as human beings, we shouldn't be enemies with anybody. But he definitely was under my skin. I'm sure I was under his skin. And in some ways, I view it as a real positive for me because it drove me to be a better version of myself, to try to win, to try to attain more customers. And I'm sure he was doing the same thing. And so, a rising tide lifts all boats. When we look at why this industry became what it is, why it's going to be in the Olympics, it was probably because of that rivalry. He called a bunch of times. I think like many entrepreneurs, he probably had enough. You get the 7-year itch, like, all right, I built this thing. I want to move on. And, probably wasn't paying attention to it as much as he should have. And the opportunity came up, and, I didn't want it to, number one, fall into the wrong hands, or number two, go away. So sat around with the team and we made the decision. We were doing really well pre-pandemic. We had plenty of resources, and so it was right time, right place, to fold in a competitor and again, maybe help grow the whole sport.
So what is Tough Mudder to you? I mean, I would ask you what's the difference, but I heard you say on one of your interviews with Spartan, you were more looking at Spartan as more of a sport. And Tough Mudder is like this inclusive, almost like people just come there to have a good time, find their best, of course, and but not so much as competitive as Spartan. How do you see the two of them?
I guess I would say Tough Mudder feels to me more like Fight Club. I had some great times with a guy named Mr. Mouse, tough guy in England, and his, if you've ever seen the movie, what is it, Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, like just English insanity. That's what Mr. Mouse's farm was, and that's what his event, Tough Guy, was, and Tough Mudder was a spin-off basically of that. And so for me, it's shared suffering, it's team-based, it's just absolute madness. That's why I referenced Fight Club, whereas Spartan's a little more organized madness, more of a sport. Both have their place on the planet. I would say, if I had 20 friends and we were going to have a good time, but we wanted to get in shape, we wanted to kick some ass and just like laugh nonstop, but also cry, we'd probably lean towards Tough Mudder. If I was with a couple of friends, on the other hand, and we were talking shit to each other and want to see, who was tougher, who was faster, who was more fit, we'd probably go to Spartan.
Yeah, I always tell people when I first started working with Tough Mudder, one of the first teams that I met was this Navy SEAL team. And these guys, they were there with their rucks full of beer and bacon and all this stuff. And they walked the whole course. They did this obstacle, didn't do that obstacle. They spent most of the time out there helping people. And I saw them like 9 hours later coming into the finish line, just muddy and drunk and laughing. And they just had a good time with it. And I always tell people that when they're like, oh, I got to prepare for this. I'm like, yeah, you can prepare for it. Or you can just come on and do it. Just get in there, have fun with it. Yeah. Which gets me to you're saying, where was this thing where you said, shoot? What was it? Fire?
Fire, ready, aim. Fire, ready,
yes.
aim. So yeah, not a very typical approach in life. Although I would argue Musk for sure is a fire, ready, aim guy. I mean, you look at his narrative lately and what's going on in his life, right? And I think so many of us, most of the world really, the majority of the world, we're taught to plan, to think, to analyze everything that can go wrong. And eventually we completely talk ourselves out of doing anything because it's too hard. You got to remember the human brain, it's an interesting machine. It wants to avoid discomfort at all costs. It's the number one motivator for a human being is the avoidance of discomfort. More than sex, drugs, rock and roll, is I got to avoid discomfort. And the reason is the brain requires so much energy to operate that it views anything uncomfortable as a threat. So you wake up in the morning, for example, and you have every intention of working out. You find yourself quickly looking at your phone or making a cup of coffee or doing anything other than the working out. And that's the brain's way of trying to avoid the discomfort, the usage of too much energy. And so the same thing happens not just with working out, but the same thing happens with starting a new business or going up and talking to that girl, learning a new language, playing the piano, whatever it may be. The brain is subconsciously, subversively trying to hold us back from doing those things. And my approach to life, recognizing that, has been fire ready. Don't even give the brain a chance. Just start moving. Sunday, I was at one of our events called DECA. It's a fitness inspired event, 10 stations. Starts out with, a bunch of reverse lunges, then the rowing machine, the skier, burpees, crunches. It's a nightmare. And it was, 7 a.m. Sunday morning. I was coming over to see the team. It's the DECA World Championships. And right away, I hadn't worked out yet. It was 7 a.m. I hadn't got my workout in yet. Right away, I just walked over to the course and my brain was starting to get fired up. It was about to tell me, hey, Joe, don't we have to go to breakfast? Today, probably you should take the day off. Hey, Joe, go talk to that person over there. And before I gave my brain any chance of distracting me, I started doing my reverse lunges. And I made sure some people saw me. And I was firing, right? And then I was going to get ready, and then I was going to aim. And so how embarrassing would it be for me? I was putting my brain in the precarious situation of like, if you stop me now, we're going to look like idiots. We're going to look like we don't talk, we don't walk the walk. Right. So anyway, I'm a big believer, like stop talking about it, just get started. You might go through 25 iterations on the way to the finish line, but at least you'll get to the finish line.
Okay. So I'm smiling because one, you say that well, I feel the same thing, exactly what you just said. And it's hard to talk to people about, at least for me, I feel like when you start saying that to people, they kind of glaze over, almost like their brain kicks in and says, don't listen to this. Don't listen to this guy. He's going to screw you up. Just listen to me. I'm the mighty powerful Oz. But man, I totally feel with everything you said there. And I saw where, you were talking about your mother. There was an Indian guru who says that the brain is much more powerful than the body, which, I feel that too, what he means. So, when you say it, do you see that too with people that just glaze over? Like they don't really get it. It seems like it's something more. You can hear, you understand English, but not everybody feels that.
Look, I gave a talk recently at a big tech company that everybody would know. And I got all my laughs on cue and everything went well. But afterwards, my friend who works there was kind enough to send me some feedback. And the feedback I got was kind of shocking for me. I was out of touch from half the audience. I was out of touch. I didn't have all my proper, dot my I's and I don't even know what this friggin' saying is. Cross my T's, dot my
I's.
Right? I didn't do it all when it comes to being politically correct. And I thought to myself, gee, at least from my perspective, but I could be completely wrong because we all have different perspectives of ourselves than the world does. But I have a feeling that half the audience that got a little twisted by my message, it was really their brains just saying, I don't want to hear this message. This guy is asking me to put a mirror in front of my face and he's asking me to do the work. And I don't want to do the fucking work. And I'm not picking on anybody when I say that because it happens to me. It happens to all of us. I'm just like the messenger to let you know that you're going to have to use some tricks in order to get the shit done. Look, this should be obvious. There are 8 billion people on the planet. But yet look at how many people actually are doing big things, building bridges, building billion-dollar companies. It's a tiny percentage. It's a tiny percentage of people. And it's really, those people have one thing in common. They're doing the work. They're just doing the work. That's it. They're not smarter, not faster, not better looking. They're just doing the fucking work.
But there's a drive that those people have to do that work. Again, to do what the brain sends to the this could kill you department, the alert department. This is uncomfortable department.
I don't even know. Like, guys, I got a wake up call for you. I don't even know if it's like pretty much every day. I don't have the drive. I don't have the motivation. But what I do have is the commitment, the ritual, the discipline. I do it every day. I never let complacency get in the way. I don't let my brain talk me out of stuff. I just keep moving. And my life, I can't even tell you how unbelievable. I got to pinch myself. My life is so damn unbelievable, even when it's hard. 10 days ago, I was in the Ukraine. I was sitting down with Klitschko, mayor of Kyiv. I was with the mayor of Lviv the day before. I'm sitting down with the governor of Kyiv. I'm with Zelensky's number 2. Like, how the hell did I get there? You know how I got there? I didn't let my brain get in the way. It was just, you know what I mean? Like, I could have talked myself out of it. It could have been too dangerous. How would I possibly make the connection? But I just did it. And then I was there. You know, I fire, ready, aim.
Okay, so the whole Kyiv thing is a whole nother conversation I want to go into, but I don't want to leave this. Because when you say, and I think you said you don't have the drive, and I disagree. I'm going to disagree here, you know. Again, this is only my opinion. Because I feel like you said, the brain, the flesh, the body just wants to survive. Where that spirit, that energy of us, that wants to live, that wants to make a connection. And I think you said that. I was looking at one of your quotes, and now you're making me jump around in my notes because I didn't want to get to this that soon. But you said in one of your quotes, deep inside each human being is a spirit that hungers for movement and for growth. A live and burgeoning ball of energy. The spirit naturally moves, expands, gyrates, dances, even purely by virtue of its desire for freedom. It craves beauty over entertainment, meaning over triviality, and knowledge over sensation. American society devotes few harbors to the trade of truth. Too often, we sacrifice the pursuit of knowledge, distracted instead by sparkling material things. I loved all that. But in the beginning of that, to me, speaks to what I feel. And I love talking to you. You tell me that, again, that spirit that you talk about, that energy, which is, I don't know, not to get too cosmic, but like the universe, our connection to the universe is always looking to connect. We can't help but want to connect to life, to energy, to expand, as you said. And I think, look at what you're doing. Why do that? What's the logic of you doing that, if not what I just said?
If we want to connect, which I agree with, for me, life is so much fun, and it's so much more fun and more vivid when you're connecting with others, all kinds of people from all over the world, which is probably why I jumped on the plane and went to the Ukraine using that example, or went to DECA or City Field the day before, or Tough Mudder, right? Like, just go connect with people. It's a lot of fun. But I got a cheeky question, which is like, how's that going for everybody working from home? How's that going? Because when I mention work from home and my frustration with it, you get 50% of the audience that's like, oh, this guy's out of touch. I get to go to the dentist more, and I get to do more stuff at home. And I'm like, dude, you're not connecting with more people. You end up living in a little bubble at home. And, anecdotal evidence, lots of folks that were already working from home pre-pandemic are calling us and saying, hey, I'll take the job, but I want to go into an office. I'm exhausted from being home alone. So anyway, not to go down the rabbit hole of work from home, but I agree with you. It's all about connection. We gain energy from connection. Science shows we live longer with connection. Shit. We put on great races. You with Tough Mudder, me with Spartan, where we connect people all day, every day, in the mud, under barbed wire, while they're getting electrocuted. No better way to connect with folks. And yet, I don't know, we put blinders on, and we sabotage ourselves, and we don't explore as many connections as we could. We don't maximize our potential for connecting with people. And if you're hearing it in my voice, it's frustrating for me when folks don't maximize their potential. By the way, if I made any money in my life, I made it because of connections I made, my network. If I had any joy or happiness I made it because of my connections with people. I only have 4 wonderful children because I randomly was at a race and randomly met this girl who became my wife. Like, so fire, ready, aim. Go meet people.
And for me, like if I'm sitting there and I'm talking to people and I'm telling them, hey, this is what I feel, y'all, this whole thing, you can't help but want to connect. You can't help but want to live. It's gravity to your being. It is your being. It's what life means. We give the word life, but it's about connection and growth. You can't help it. Your picture's up on that board when I'm showing that. I mean, because to me, that's what you exercise. And it seems like the way that you've gone to communicate this is that, okay, guys, and you said this for yourself, that when you get to the point of just wanting water, food, and shelter, you feel great. You said feel good, but you feel great. And to me, I look at that as that's survival zone. That's like you're in the moment now. In the moment, you taking everything that you've experienced in the past, and it's in full effect right now, and this is going to be with you in the future. And so when you say that, it's like, okay, so here was your tool, here was your idea of getting people to feel what you're saying. Okay, you don't feel it? I'm going to break you down physically.
Look, again, our brains are filled, they're little monkey brains, and they're filled with all this stress and all these things. And you're in this hamster wheel, and this might happen and that might happen. And oh my God, I got to do this. And when you get to a place where you just want water, food, and shelter, it's a very refreshing place to be, because the monkey brain slows down. The brain is just please give me some water. Just please give me some shelter. The other beautiful thing about getting to a place like that is you become so much more appreciative of those things, of the person that you didn't see for a long time, of the roof over your head that protects you from the cold that you were just feeling for the last 4 days or whatever, right? Like the food that you didn't have, that grape all of a sudden tastes like the greatest grape the earth has ever given you, even though it's just a regular old grape. So you end up appreciating everything around you. The great samurai, before they went to bed, the ancient samurai, they would burn all their possessions, all their friends, everything, their family in their mind before they went to bed. It would all be gone. And when they woke up and they reconnected with people around them and their family and their food and their shelter, they appreciated it all because last night they had none. So that's what I'm saying and everybody listening and anybody watching should try it. Get yourself to a really, really, back against the wall, tired, hungry, cold place, which is why we put on these events. And you will see how refreshing that is.
There's like people go back and forth with that. Do you have to suffer to appreciate life? Do you have to suffer for art and all that stuff? What's your thought on that?
I think you do. I think people that have everything, which most of us in the first world have everything, even those of us that don't think we have everything, we do. Move to northern Siberia and then tell me how bad it is here in America or England or Australia. So I think we have way too much. And when you have everything, you don't appreciate anything. And when you have nothing, you appreciate everything. If I had a big whiteboard right now, and we said on the top of the whiteboard, the very tippy top of the whiteboard is everything. That's the fancy cars, the girl you want, the boy you want. Go down the list, the best foods, the most money. You've got everything at top of the whiteboard. Bottom of the whiteboard is you're struggling for water, food, and shelter. You probably live in the first world, 65, 70% of the way up the board. You don't necessarily have the private plane and all those things at the top of the board, but you're certainly not starving. The mistake we're making, we're all chasing to get to the top of the board. Oh, if I just had that dress, if I just married that girl, that guy, if I just had that car, if I just spoke that language, I'd be happier, right? You keep pushing towards the top of the board. I argue you're going in the wrong direction. You need to push towards the bottom of the board. And the visual I'll give you is when you push a soccer ball underwater and then let go of it and it pops back up. When you do that in your own life, you push yourself down and then you pop back up. The grape, as I said before, the grape tastes better. The girl or the guy looks a lot more handsome, they say a hungry lion is most handsome, right? Like Like all I'm saying, just get hungry. And all of a sudden, by the way, Eddie Murphy did a skit on this like 30 years ago. I'm not going to get into the details because it was it was X-rated maybe, but the point was that you appreciate everything after you've been through a period of time, whether it's an hour, a day, a week, without stuff.
So let me ask you this then, because you don't have to do this, and again, helping people. I saw where there was a guy that was like incredibly overweight where you did wonders for this guy. And then as soon as he got away from you, he went and ate some junk and stuff like that. But like, what is your drive? Why do you want to help people? Why do you want to fix businesses? Where does that come from? Because it ain't just about the money. You had the money. You did the Wall Street thing and you didn't settle for that.
Definitely not about the money. Let me tell you that. The quickest way to become a millionaire is to start with 10 million and buy Spartan and Tough Mudder. That's the quickest way. You go backwards. No, you know what it is if you and I were working for Philip Morris and selling cigarettes, that would suck. If you or I were sitting on a trading desk on Wall Street every day and just burning and churning money, like that would suck. If you and I were selling handbags, working for Gucci, that would suck. I get to do, I don't have it in me to be a priest or a rabbi. That life just, I don't know, maybe it was too disciplined for me. But in some ways, I feel like we're a church. Tough Mudder, Spartan Trail, all these, we are a church. We're a modern day church. And we preach clean living and we push people to be better and we bring folks together in community and we help each other. And so it just feels really, really purposeful. And so those days where it's tough to make payroll or you're just fighting through, it's like, but I get to do this. I get to work at this awesome church,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And we get a free pass. You and I both, I got the letter yesterday from the big man himself. He said, you and I have free passes to heaven. So.
Oh, very cool. I didn't get mine yet. Good to know, man. I'm going to get up there to the gates. I'm like, well, wait, Joe said.
Yeah, make sure I get you the document notarized.
Joe, I feel like too, from what I've heard, the stories about your childhood, your parents, I feel like you've got both of them and you sort of taken that baton and taken it even further. When I've heard you talk about your mom, when she got into the whole yoga thing and all that. And every time I heard, she committed to it. Isn't that you? Whatever it is you're feeling, you commit to it 100%. Your dad seemed, and correct me if I'm wrong, he seemed practical and he did what needed to be done to be what his idea of successful. You got that, so it's like you're a product of your parents. Now you have kids.
Yeah. Look, I think we're all products of our parents and they were both hard driving, hardworking, committed individuals. And, they physically fought though. I had a crazy upbringing. I mean, it was ugly. And so, I have 4 kids. We have 4 kids, my wife and I now. And, thank God we don't physically fight. At least I don't fight with her. She definitely wants to beat the shit out of me every day. But it's fine. And we're just doing the best we can, like any parent would, like trial and error. My oldest son said last night as I was forcing vitamins on him, and supplements that he feels like a guinea pig. So they are, in some ways, they're guinea pigs, right? We're doing our best. We're testing, everything we can on them.
Is that the hardest thing for you, being a parent, being a dad?
Hardest thing in life, or just, or
because let me put it this way. I look at it that you're attached to them. You got to love this thing we call love. So it's not directly happening to you, their life, but man, it sure feels like that. So you want to give them the knowledge and the best tools that says, hey guys, I know this worked. I've done this, listen to what I'm saying, but that's hard to make somebody do.
It's definitely hard to, if you and I were giving each other advice, we're adults, we're mature, we would get it. They recently came out with a new IQ test where they take your IQ test and then they compare it to what you think your IQ is. And so obviously if you think you're really smart, but you're not that smart, that's worse than thinking you're average and you actually are average. And what they found was that children, especially teenagers, they have the worst scores. They think they're smart and they don't know anything. And so that's what we're dealing with, right? When we're trying to parent teenagers, is they know everything, just like you and I knew everything when we were teenagers. I heard a great Mark Twain quote early this morning in the gym. My friend said, man, when I was 14, my father was so dumb. He didn't know anything. Now that I'm 30, I'm impressed at what he's learned. It's like your father didn't get smarter, you idiot. You just developed an open mind.
Yeah. I like that quote. The more I learn, the more I find out I don't know.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I paraphrased it. If you had to describe your superhero strength, I think I would put it in like your work ethic, but that might be the result of whatever your superhero strength is. But your work ethic, to me, man, you're like the Tiger Woods, the LeBron and Michael Jordan, the Serena Williams. You're like on that level in the work ethic department. What would you say your superhero strength is?
Well, definitely. I do work hard. I'm relentless. I would say I'm really good at getting people to do things they don't want to do. I'm great at it. Any room, any size and shape person, any age, I can get them to do something they don't want to do.
That's funny. You should be a comic. God, and I lost his name just when I said that. He was describing, I have a background in stand-up comedy, and people always come up to comedians. They're always like, you must have been the class clown. And this comedian, it'll come back to me and I'll tell you his name later on. But he was saying, no, that pure comedian, they're not the class clown. They're the guy that talked that person into doing that. And that's kind of like what I'm hearing from you saying.
That's me.
Public speaking now, how is that for you? Because people say that's like the number one frightening thing in the world.
Yeah, people are generally very afraid of public speaking. I don't mind it at all. I don't even think twice. I just get right up on stage and start talking. No issue at all.
Yeah, you said on the last one that you felt like the people did not connect to you. Since then, have you changed anything? Do you feel that connection now when you're talking with people?
Dave Chappelle was on Saturday Night Live the other night. I don't know if you caught that. Somebody forwarded me a clip. And he handled political correctness statements around, Jewish folks. And that combined with the notes I got from my speech got me to think that I do need to preface my talks a little bit and just let folks know that we are so inclusive. I will help anybody, any size, shape, color, doesn't matter. I don't draw any lines anywhere. And, but that doesn't mean that as part of my hour-long talk up here, I'm not going to speak in a way that I learned over the last, 53 years on this planet in a different time. Don't take offense to any of it. Just know that I'm up here trying to get you to be the best version of yourself.
Okay, so I'm gonna jump around again because I don't want to end this before asking. I haven't heard you elaborate on this in any of the interviews that I've seen. Maybe you have. Your wife is friggin' awesome, man. That's what she sounds friggin' awesome from the little that you've talked about her. How did you guys actually meet?
We met. I was at a race. I was carrying a backpack on my back, running in the sand, and I tagged my teammate. It was a relay, and so they had to swim across a bay in Nantucket. And I stood there and I thought, gee, I didn't get enough of a workout in. I really should do the swim, but I'm afraid of sharks. And as soon as my brain said no, I knew that I had to fire, ready, aim. And so I took off my shoes and I started swimming. And I was scared because I am scared of sharks. And I came up on the other shore, on the other side, and there was a girl there. And we talked for, 11 seconds. And I don't know, she used a word that my mother would have used, my mother's family would have used, called, I had no shoes on. I was walking on the rocks. And she goes, "Oh, you're going to hurt your tootsies." And that was a word. And I thought that was weird. And so she was really cute. I was really attracted to her in 11 seconds. You just know right away. And so that was it. I hunted her down and convinced her to move to a farm, and I locked her in the basement so she couldn't leave.
So now this sounds classic. This sounds like she actually saw you first, that she controlled that whole situation.
Well, there was a chance because I was the only guy coming out of the water without shoes, and I was having a tough, so it didn't make sense. So yeah.
Yeah. So this woman, you were very attracted to somebody at point
one
in your
person
life right there. Yeah. You guys done good stuff together. Jumping back around. What are you seeing for Tough Mudder in the future?
Look, I think it's growing. The events are getting back to full bore. World's Toughest Mudder was a huge success. This year, no surprise, getting the machine back up for Spartan for all the events. The event industry in general has been an absolute nightmare. But I think I wouldn't be surprised if Tough Mudder surpasses Spartan. It was way ahead of Spartan in the early years, so I think it'll be there again.
What would you change or add to it?
I think we got to add burpees to Tough Mudder. I know that pisses everybody off, but a good old fashioned 30 burpees before you get electrocuted, or maybe during the. Imagine doing the 30 burpees while getting electrocuted. Now there's something. That's what we're gonna do.
I can. Hey, you give me the word. I can enforce it right there at the start. I'm like, can you
do that and shoot me some footage? Let's get that. Let's just do a test run.
Okay, Florida's coming up.
Yes,
Florida's coming up. That first wave is always full of our legionnaires. How many burpees?
30 burpees in the electric pit.
Oh, you want me to do it? Have somebody do it in the electric pit? Okay,
it's got to be done in the electric pit. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm at the start, but I'll tell Clinton in the electric pit. If somebody does that, this is personal. This is for you. I'm setting this to. Oh, there. Good luck. Yeah, that's where you need to be there and use
I'll be there.
Okay, and if you go in there and do it, I bet they'll go in and do it then. So, yeah. For you, I saw on another posting where you had the 5 things that you were looking to achieve for 2022. Give me one for 2023.
One thing I got to achieve in 2023 is
because I know one of them was to move to Florida last year. And
I'm already here. I'm already here in Florida.
How you liking Florida?
I love it. Continue building out this office. Just continuing to get all the kinks out of the system, everywhere. God, there's 100. I mean, I can make a list of 100 things. Spend a little more time. Yeah. This is a tough year. I didn't get to spend a lot of time with my family. Spend a little more time with my family would be nice. Working out, building that statue in Sparta, Greece. Amazing. Definitely adding burpees to Tough Mudder. Amazing. And I got to get a cold plunge here in Florida. That's definitely high on the list.
Are we out of the woods with Tough Mudder and Spartan business wise with the pandemic?
We are from a business operation standpoint, we are completely out of the woods. From a balance sheet, scorched earth, everything's on fire behind us. We're not out of the woods. The government still owes us a ton of money. If anybody out there knows a senator or congressman, I've been knocking on it's easier for me to get to the number 2 and 3 person in the Ukraine than it is to get to the right person in the U.S. government. So they owe us a ton of money as part of the COVID programs. We thought that money was going to come in March. We thought it was going to come in August. We thought it'd be here in October. Still trying to get this funding, but the business itself, attendance, all that is awesome.
So I'm going to get you out of here in a second. Again, there's just so many things, man. I encourage anybody that's listening to this, just go on the internet and Google your name. There's a lot of stuff that you're not the asshole people say you are. You're not just out there being mean to people or saying, trying to be better than people. I feel like you are actually making a positive connection. It's a genuine positive connection that I don't know, it's just in you, that you're driven, that you're doing. You're a mirror man as far as I'm concerned. Spartan paradox, I see that, building a bulletproof mindset, fire, ready, aim, all that stuff. And those quotes, there was one of the pages had like 30 quotes that you had, all of them. Pretty friggin' awesome. And I could sit and talk to you like forever about those things. So anybody, go online, check that stuff out. What didn't I cover that you want to say to Tough Mudder people?
Tough Mudder people. Is that what we call? Do we call them mudders? What do we call them?
I call them Mudder Nation. But to me, again, I was surprised to hear that there wasn't that big of a crossover when you first got us all together.
Not much of a crossover at all. Very small, as a matter of fact. Mudder Nation, listen, we cannot do this alone. We want to change lives. We want to get people ripped off the couch. We want to get them away from the Netflix and the popcorn and the chocolate bars. And I mean, look around you, you know what's going on with health and wellness, obesity rates, diabetes. Can't do it alone. So go rip a few people off the couch, get them out to an event, especially heading into New Year's where you might actually get a yes from folks because they want to restart their life. Everybody, I mean, the rates of depression are through the roof for young people. Like, you guys know, if you're listening to this, how powerful one of these crazy events are at changing mindset, at changing lives. So rip some folks off the couch, help us out. Let's do this. It's not hard. It's not worth it.
Okay. And lastly, indulge me. I have 2 questions that I always ask my guests at the end. And I want to say too, the whole thing when I was saying, yeah, well, you go in there and you do the burpees inside electroshock. No disrespect on that, because you, again, your picture's up on when I say to people, there are these people that don't just talk to talk, they run the walk. Okay. So your picture's on that one too, with some of the people that inspire the hell out of me. My question. This is the question that I got. It was a quote that I got from a gentleman named Craig. I got to visit Craig in the hospital just before he passed away of cancer. They told me when he got diagnosed for the last time, he started living by this quote that became a model for him, became a model for me. I brought it back to Mudder Nation, and over the years, they made it so popular, it actually became a song by Darius Rucker. So I always ask this of my guests. When was the last time you did something for the first time? When was it? What was it?
Well, I mean, I just did DECA this weekend. I've done a Spartan race so many times. That wouldn't be for the first time. I ran 65 miles with COVID. That was a first time. That was awesome.
Did you really?
Well, listen, actually, the best one is going to Ukraine. That was unbelievable. That was a first timer. I pinched myself. Yeah. So 10 days ago.
Hey, real quick, what sparked that? Why'd you do that?
I had a friend reach out, said he needed a favor. He had some really high level folks that wanted to donate a bunch of money and supplies and support, but he wanted to get to the highest ranking officials to do it. He didn't want the money not making it where it was supposed to go, and so 48 hours later, don't ask me how, I had meetings set. It was unbelievable. I had meetings set up.
What did it do for you? What did you find out? What did you come back with?
Well, we found out there'll be 30 to 40,000 amputees, and they need a prosthetics manufacturing facility right away. We found out they need rehab equipment. We found out from Klitschko that he needs all kinds of vehicles and this and that. So we're actually rounding it all up. Hope to get it there before Christmas.
That's awesome. Awesome. My final question to you, sir. Okay, you're out there doing your thing like you do out there. You're in Florida now. Just running along the trail, come across the lamp. You do what everybody does, pick up the lamp and you wipe it off. Out pops me, the genie in the lamp. Been in there for trillions and zillions of centuries. I am so grateful that you freed me. I'm not going to give you 3 wishes, Joe. I'm going to give you the ultimate gift. In this moment, I am going to give you the undivided attention of the world. In this moment, the whole world just stopped what it's doing and it's listening to you. What do you say to the world in this moment?
I'd say get the fuck outside today. That's it.
Brilliant. I'll do that. That 70s movies where they start slow. I appreciate this. Thank you so much, man. Will I see you at the any of the events this? Well, we only have the Florida one.
Yeah,
at the
you
end.
should. You should see me there. Yes.
You can find Tough Mudder on Facebook and Twitter. That will be at Tough Mudder, or on Instagram, also at Tough Mudder. Please remember you can find this podcast, No Excuses, on wherever you listen to podcasts. Guys, subscribe. Let me know what you like, what you're not liking, and I will be including you as much as possible and even more in the future.
Inspirational.
Be inspired.
Inspire.
No excuses.
Motivational.
Be motivated.
Motivate.
No excuses.
No whining.
No quitting. Overcome.
No excuses.
Community. Teamwork.
Tough Mudder.
Tougher together.
No excuses.